but I don't know if that's offensive or not, has come out as transgender. Okay, so right there already, this gal is writing this question and she's already gone into control. She's saying, I don't know how to talk about this. We as a family are conflicted as to whether or not we should continue to spend time with them. Should we see them less or even completely cut them out of our lives? This is a situation I'm sure many people are in, and not just because it's LGBTQ. Maybe you're afraid of bringing your kids over to a family member because they're doing drugs. Mom and dad, there are not a lot of places you can go to in this world who give you permission to be truthful. They're gonna call you a Karen, they're gonna call you overbearing, they're gonna call you controlling, a helicopter parent. None of those are based in principles of truth. All of that is a lie.
This is kind of why I find it important to talk about, because even though they're no longer doing family vlogging, they're doing family-related content, which is not only harming their own family, but could be potentially harming other families that might be tuning in to listen to this type of stuff. Jody claims to be a mental health expert. Now, my issue with this is that Ruby has apparently been working with Connections for the past 4 years.
This is new. I've been studying this for 4 years.
So I question, was Connections one of the groups they sought mental health advice from when they mentioned it in this clip?
And the things that we show and share and the things that many of you are criticizing and calling offensive are actually things that mental health professionals have counseled us to do.
And what a lot of people are extremely concerned about is Ruby has admitted that she hasn't been doing the best at parenting over the past few years, but not in the way that people were expecting her to feel remorse. People thought that she was going to say, I was too strict, I was too harsh, like sending my kid to Anastasi, taking his bed away for months, and making my kids go to school hungry.
You wonder where I've been on my vlogs? You wonder why I left YouTube? It's to save my kids. No amount of money. I'm telling you, I was making millions. And I left it because my kids were being hurt. With entitlement, they were being hurt. With people's advice, and they didn't have a mother up the front saying, I don't care what the world's opinion is. This is the truth, and this is where I stand. And fortunately, I had a chance. I had them in my home long enough to do it, and I'm not going to lose them. They're seeing truth, they're accepting truth, they're loving truth.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Actually, she looked back on the past few years and thought to herself that she wasn't strict enough.
Me allowing my child to watch The Walking Dead was me being selfish because I didn't want to ruffle the distortion inside of my child, which meant I knew if I said no, he was going to get mad, and I just, I don't want to deal with the kids being mad. That's my selfishness. And I didn't get curious about what was in the show. I didn't ever sit down and watch it. I was such a disconnected mother. I need to repent for being so selfish. I was a hugely disconnected, selfish, aggressive, neglectful mother. Entitled. I wanted my kids to be happy, which AKA translated into, I want my kids to get off.
Here are 3 tips for becoming a pro player in Raid Shadow Legends. Number 1, never sacrifice Death Knight for other champions. Always sacrifice other champions.
My back.
And as she's discussing this lady over here, Jody, is just calling her entitled and beating her down even more. And I get really uncomfortable feelings from this. I don't know. It just, something seems really, really off here.
That's humble. She's telling you. I was in distortion. I was harming my kids. I was being selfish.
Being super neglectful in the area that I wasn't bringing truth into my home.
Connections seems like one of those programs that will brainwash you, constantly repeating words like truth and distortion.
There's truth and there's distortion. That's it.
And I have been a mother in distortion more years than I've been a mother in truth.
The more you hear Ruby and Jody talking about finding truth, the creepier it gets.
I can say anything I want to her and she hears it. Like, I don't tiptoe around her at all. And she can say whatever she wants to me and I don't get offended because both of us understand truthful principles.
And by the way, Jody, oh boy, this is supposed to be a mental health fitness trainer, and she's saying stuff like this. By the way, just to clarify here, I obviously don't condone what is said in this post. I just think it's important to show you this since she is somebody who claims to be in the mental health coaching field or mental health fitness training.
I was going through my son's room and noticed some gay pride flags, etc. I look at that and I'm like, what do you mean you noticed some gay pride flags, etc.? I don't know what that means. You noticed them. So that tells me you're completely checked out, that your son just puts gay pride flags in his room, etc. And you don't know that those things are there. A lot of questions about what I call deviant sexual behavior. So whether you're behaving in a homosexual way, whether you're behaving in a way that is outside the bonds that God has set, it's deviant sexual behavior. Now you may agree with, it's fine to be transgendered, as they call it. That's just a made-up word. Somebody made it up, and there still isn't any truth to it. It doesn't matter how you angle it, how you talk about it, how many people support it. There's no truth in I was born in a wrong body. Even though someone says, but I feel it. I feel it. Doesn't matter if you feel it. I feel all sorts of things on a daily basis, and most of it's like completely dramatic and wrong.
Originally, I was just going to say that this lady's nuts, but after seeing those clips, I think the truth that she really needs to hear is that she has a lot of deep-rooted problems. And I think the only distortion that I see is her hatefulness towards the LGBTQ+ community. So yeah, I think it's safe to say why a lot of people are concerned about this person being a mental wellness and life coach. This lady is clearly unhinged, and I'm surprised I haven't seen more people talking about this. Going back to Ruby, now normally when it comes to the families of content creators that we discuss here, usually we don't really bring up the family members. Reason why I'm bringing this up is because they are already public and this entire feud seems to be publicized, and Ruby's family members are also content creators who do vlogs and whatnot. You see, Ruby and her husband appeared to be absent from recent family events that have been posted publicly online, and people had questions about it. This led to information being revealed that Ruby's family has been distancing themselves from her, and it seems like it has to do with this connections situation. There are even rumors that Ruby and her husband Kevin have divorced over this. Even Ruby's oldest daughter had come out and stated that she is not in contact with her immediate family and did not support the Connections program that Ruby has become a part of. And some of Ruby's other family members have spoken out against Connections, saying that it tears families apart. But as far as the details go on this, that is as much as I'm going to share in this video, because it does seem like Ruby's family members don't want to be involved in this situation more than they already are. And the only reason I'm bringing this up, aside from the fact that some of Ruby's family members are also public figures with their own vlogging accounts and such, is because I think it's extremely important for people to see how not only this Connections group, but family vlogging in general can tear families apart. What started out as just another family vlogging channel that seemed like it was going too far and getting a lot of backlash from a lot of people for doing quite a few chaotic things and pushing the boundaries quite a bit, really turned out to be something much, much worse than I think anybody ever really expected. I think that there will be a lot of chaos when children grow older and realize that what their parents did to them for so many years was messed up, milking them for views online and treating them in these horrible ways and exposing their privacy. And by the way, there's even a point that Jody and Ruby were talking about children's privacy and how they are not entitled to any of it.
I have 4 walls in my bedroom, and that gives me a place of privacy. I have 4 walls in the bathroom. That gives privacy. When my child begins using those 4 walls to do things that are deceptive, they lose the privilege of privacy. Why? Because they're not concerned about privacy.
I would not expect Ruby to think any differently, considering she never gave her kids any privacy and exposed so much of their personal lives to the internet for anybody to see. I'm not surprised at all with that. A good portion of other family vloggers out there likely feel the same way, at least to an extent, to be able to exploit the privacy of their own family and their own children and push their children's boundaries to create content online. As time goes on, I expect this to be a more frequent thing. While I don't know how many family vloggers are going to end up going down a really weird path of programs like this, I do think that this is the beginning of a trend that we are going to see in the near future, where a lot of children who are getting older are going to distance themselves from their parents who have milked them for YouTube content for years and years. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, and thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon, especially Lewis, Miss Tanisha, Anthony, Tressot, Michelle, and Deemer WM. One last thing before I go, don't forget to use